introduce my guest in studio again. We talk about State of the Nation. We started with Honorable Gladys Wanga, who's a Homa Bay women representative. Thank you so much for coming in. We also have Samson Cherargei, Nandi Senator, with us here in studio. Sante for coming in. And Dr. Alfred Mutua, Governor for Machakos. And the most obvious thing is just this issue around the by-elections. And Cherargei, I'll start with you. Are you confident to win this one?
Thank you, Trevor, and good morning to all our viewers, and it's good to be back. First, I'm confident because I've been on the campaign trail for our UDA candidate, John Juguna Kawanjiku, for Wanjiku. And I must say that our campaigns went very well. It was peaceful. I want to thank the people of Kiambaa. They were very hospitable and calm, and there was no incidences of any violence. Looking at the factors remain constant. The Kiambaa by-election is very critical for us, especially as UDA, because the decisions that Kiambaa voters will make today will speak not only for the future of Kiambaa constituency, but the future of Kenyan politics, especially in 2022 succession politics. So from where I sit, we did what we could. We called for peace. We sold our candidates, and there are many challenges that, although it's less than a year, but I know the MP, and I'm confident that our UDA candidate, John Juguna Wanjiku, will carry the day, is that there are so many challenges that we notice there. Kiambaa being semi-urban rural constituency, there are so many unique challenges that they are going to face. So from where I sit, we expect also the IEBC to ensure that the process of voting is peaceful, is transparent, and the rule is being upheld. We wouldn't want to see any incidences where there is voter bribery, voter intimidation that we have seen. Apparently, I was also in the Kabuchai by-election, and of course, you saw what happened both in Matungu and Kabuchai. So we hope those ugly incidences will not be. And this is a litmus test for IEBC. How they will conduct this by-election points to their preparedness to 2022 general election, and we hope they will be able to ensure. Number three is that we hope any candidate who will lose will concede the defeat, so that we set a good trend in this country that any election that you are having or you are running for any post, you must always, when you lose an election, you concede and ensure that we follow up many things. I've seen that it is, many people are saying it is Uhuru Kenyatta versus William Ruto. I think those are just sensational headlines that there is a battle for the mountain. No one is in. Why would we people battle for the mountain? We want the heart and the soul of Kenyans. So we don't want to reduce our politics to issues of regional. Yeah. This is just more than. So from where I sit, I don't think there is contest between His Excellency the Deputy President and His Excellency the President. It is just the pure, this is just a decision that will be made by Kiambaa electorates. And we hope that it will be peaceful. Yeah. And of course, by midnight or early tomorrow, we should be able to know the new member of parliament of Kiambaa.
Okay. Yeah. Honorable Wanga, is this a defining moment? Because I see it here, it's been described as a defining moment for both Jubilee and UDA.
Good morning, Trevor, and good morning to our viewers. I think today is important because of the messages that by-elections send. They don't necessarily translate at the end of the day to what happens, but what happens today in Kiambaa will be critical. Because UDA is trying to look for their first seat in Parliament, and if they get it in Kiambaa, I think that will be some sort of boost for them. But I will be personally rooting for our friends in Jubilee, Kariri Njama, and I think today will be really dependent on the ground game. Trevor, what has happened and all the pomp and color might not be the real determinant. The determinant today will be who mobilizes their voters to actually turn out and vote, who plays their ground game today in the best possible way. So I'm rooting for Karuri Njama, and I hope that, you know, the same way ODM managed to push Uda out of, you know, Kisii the other day, and Wiper the same in Machakos, you know, got them out together with Governor Mutua here. I think the same manner should be, you know, what happens in Kiambaa. But I think what Senator Cherargei raised that I want to agree with is the issue of violence, and violence as a tool for suppressing voter turnout. The same day we had elections in Kabushai, we had elections in Matungu, and I was in Matungu, and there was a scripted plan to visit all strongholds of, you know, ODM, for example, on that day, and met out violence. And the police were just, you know, watching, and it was very shocking that, you know, agents were being beaten, not just agents, electoral officers were being frog-marched out of polling stations. I mean, a lady returning officer almost cried, was being frog-marched, almost undressed. And the police were just watching helplessly. And it really is unacceptable, you know, for such things to be allowed to happen. And I hope that, you know, Kiambaa people remain peaceful, and that I like the direction that was given on we who call ourselves super agents, because we are the same people who, our agents sit quietly in their polling station rooms, and then we come with goons and try and, you know, met out violence. We don't want to see that. We just want to see people expressing their will, you know, freely, peacefully, openly, and that's what we're looking forward to. But yes, today is a critical day.
Okay. Governor Mutua?
I do agree, and it's quite interesting, and I want to greet our viewers wherever they are at this particular time, because you know, we wake up every morning, and at times we forget to thank God because others do not wake up. And so I'm grateful, and to all the Kenyans watching us, good morning. We're here for another by-election, and the last few by-elections have been quite interesting. My good friend Senator Cherargei here even has a court case arising from a by-election, because we tend to be very heated when it comes to politics. Our emotions, you know, tend to take over, even beyond our reason, and you wonder. And one of the differences between the West and developed nations and African nations is the way we choose our leaders. I mean, the talk here, you can see the papers between, will it be the president versus the deputy president? It's not, will it be the person who can carry out the late Koinange's vision, you know, as the person has said. So here people are being lured, pige hii chama, sio kujipigia ndio uweze kuendelea. So we need to mature politically to come to a place where we say that we have to vote for our own selfish needs. So you vote for the right person for you. Yes, party politics are important. They've been hyped up. And what, you know, and when you talk about, before I make a very important point, when you talk about party, and Wanga's talked about democracy. And I saw the report where somebody was being told that you cannot take photos. I don't know that many people know why that happens. What happens is that unaenda mahali, unapewa 500, unaambiwa pigia huyu, alafu chukua picha, ukirudi tutakupatia ile 500 ingine, ama 100, ama 50. So it's basically an electoral fraud. So when they say you can't take photos, some mtu atapewa pesa na kula. Me, I want to tell the voters of Kiambaa, ukipewa pesa kula, lakini pigia yule mtu unajua atakufaa. Wacha kupigia watu ambao unafikiri wanakupatia pesa na kupanga na vitu. We saw it in Kibra. You know, people being given money, we saw it in many places. This is about your life, and we have to mature politically. And lastly, to the people of Mount Kenya, you know, truth needs to be told. We are watching this struggle that has been presented between the president, who comes from that region and also comes from Kiambu, who is the president of Kenya, vis-a-vis the deputy president, who the president actually took to Mount Kenya to be loved in Mount Kenya, because after the post-election violence he was not very loved. Took him there, introduced him to the people, said we can work together and everything. And we are starting to, the rest of us who are not from Mount Kenya, especially Central Province, we are starting to get the feeling that the Mount Kenya people are taking for granted that they have been the people whose sons have ruled this country for very many years. They have had Jomo Kenyatta, they have had Moi Kibaki, they have had Uhuru Kenyatta, you know. So you look at out of 4 presidents, is it 4? You know, they have had 3 in this, and so they have started taking it for granted, and that is why you can see their attitude. Even, you know, they talk about their president, they talk about things, and there are people here who are saying, give me the presidency for only 3 minutes. Hata sitaki siku moja, 3 minutes tuonje community yetu isikie imeingia urais. 3 minutes. And yet here people are making a decision to say, we'll just tell our president wetu, we kwenda huko, tutaenda kwa mtu mwingine. We don't care about you. So they're taking it for granted. Yeah. And at times when you take things for granted and you lose them, you get to regret later on. So it's a high time the people of Central Province sat down and thought about themselves and asked themselves, how are other Kenyans looking at us? Yeah. Because if you look at the struggle between, the perceived struggle between the president and the deputy president, it's not happening in Nandi, it's not happening in Ukambani, it's not happening in Kisumu, or in Siaya, it's not happening in Taita, it's not happening in Western. No, it's happening at the president's backyard. Yeah. And this is the president of the Republic of Kenya, where people have fought and been killed, yeah, trying to get into that position to be president. Yet the people of the same region where he comes from are taking it for granted. Wanaiona, wanaipuuza, wameizoea. Maybe wameizoea too much. Okay. And maybe this is a lesson and a message to the rest of us, okay, in this country.
Gerard, could that same analogy the governor is giving be applied to your people in the UDA angle? Are you taking the president for granted?
One, I want to appreciate, it is important that I want to disagree with my good friend, the governor, that Mount Kenya people are now democratic, and if they have decided to support any other Kenyan, because we are one nation, one people, and therefore it behooves all of us that we need to appreciate the view of the people of Mount Kenya, where it is not that they want to be selfish, and I think him running for presidency also, we would want the support from Mount Kenya region. You remember he gave us statistics that he was second after the DP Ruta in Mount Kenya region. So from where I sit, first of all, I heard my sister Gladys saying that UDA was being aged. I remember in Bonjari, it is Jubilee wanted to strangle the ODM, and it is out of their sheer hard work and mobilization that Pavin Oimeke of ODM emerged the winner. The same thing, and I empathize and sympathize with her, that in Matungu, she almost bear the brunt of the electoral violence, where ANC was working closely, allegedly, with the police and other agencies to ensure that ODM did not have a footing. But unfortunately, as we talk today, out of the images that we saw in Matungu, where people are being being whipped mercilessly and being electoral violence, no one was charged up to date. But where, as in Kabujai, we were being charged over electoral violence. But I think these are challenges that IBC must ensure they follow up on such election cases. Secondly, by the way, President Uhuru Kenyatta is not a presidential candidate in 2022. So we wouldn't want to say we are taking President Uhuru Kenyatta for granted, because he's not a candidate. He's serving his second term. He would retire after 2022 as by the Constitution 2010. So I think it is, and I've insisted in this show that I always appeal that the president should avoid succeeding himself. He should concentrate on his legacy projects. I saw him visiting Ukambani, and of course I could see Governor Mutua was jostling for a photo with him. I don't know if to use for the campaigns or just for posterity or for future use. And it shows that this is a clear indication that the president is interested in a particular direction. And you had, we have appealed to him that he should serve for 7.5 million Kenyans instead of trying to resolve the differences that we are seeing in NASA. And there was also hue and cry that Raila Odinga did appear and get crushed, and I could see Ukambani leaders have been complaining of the same. And I want just to appeal to the president that I wish the tours that he's doing in the country should be development tours, should be to build on his legacy projects and behave like President Kibaki, where succession politics is around naturally. So as UDA, we are planning our agenda without President Uhuru Kenyatta, because President Uhuru Kenyatta is not a candidate, is not a presidential candidate. He is going home with Jubilee. And I've seen like people, ODM, and I saw the Secretary General, which Wahiga Maura hosted him on Tuesday night, saying that they want to partner with equals, and they don't have a problem partnering with Jubilee, which is an empty shell now. But we want to tell ODM that they are lucky because they will get a Jubilee empty shell, plus President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is retiring. So where I sit, we want to work with like-minded partners. We want to have the same vision. I think what is important, and I'm happy as I close in my final remark, Trevor, that for the first time as a country, we are having a conversation based on ideology. I've seen even Musalia Mudavadi is talking about the economy. I've seen yesterday headline by one of the leading newspapers in this country was saying Raila and Ruto is fighting for hustlers, and I heard ODM wants to do the rural economy as we are doing the bottom-up. I think it is very important for the country where I sit that let us have ideology. I've heard Governor Mutua saying that we should have a cottage industry in every ward across the country, which is the conversation we should really have as a country. And I'm happy for the first time in my generation, we're having the presidential candidates putting their best foot forward, not because of the tribal arithmetic numbers, but because of the ideas and economy they want to sell into the country. Okay. So I hope it is not, and that is why it is not even important for the outcome of Kiambaa by-elections for President Uhuru Kenyatta, because it's not significant to him. Okay. He's not running for any political office unless somebody else has any other aspect that President Uhuru Kenyatta will be running again for any political office. Okay. Yeah.
Honorable Wanga, are you partnering with an empty shell?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the hypocrisy of UDA and this MP, I think it's really taking Kenyans for a ride and granted. First of all, you are deputy president of the country and you refuse to resign, yet you undermine the person you're supposed to be deputizing every single day, including creating a different political party to face him, and then face him in his own very backyard. Yet you have no conscience to say, I am no longer consciously, able to serve in this government, and therefore I remove myself from this position so that I can play my politics in the way I want. And people have done it in the past. Jaramogi did it. And if you are a person worth their political salt, that is what you do. Yeah. You don't stay and say, I am the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, where it suits you, but then you undermine viciously, you sponsor insults against the very person you're deputizing. So that hypocrisy flies to the high skies, and Kenyans can see it. And even the people of Mount Kenya can see it, because nobody wants you to disrespect, the president of the country. And if you think they don't see it, they do. Look at Cherargei and his lot. They are out there campaigning for UDA, yet they are Jubilee MPs. What stops them from resigning from Jubilee and seeking a fresh mandate on UDA? I mean, that is when we can speak, Trevor. That is when we can sit and have a debate. That is when you can tell us about an empty shell. You're talking about an empty shell in which you earn your salary on the basis of that party, on the basis of that flag. And then you come and tell us it's an empty shell. I will only have that discussion of an empty shell if Cherargei has resigned from Jubilee, has sought a new mandate in Udaku party, and has come here as a member of parliament of Udaku, and that day we will have the debate of an empty shell. But you cannot sit on a salary, hold positions in that party, and come and have a conversation here. And it's the same hypocrisy in the hustler discussion. It is the same hypocrisy, because they are saying, oh, now we want bottom up. Bottom up how? And you loot this country dry, you take that very money, you bring it as handouts to the people. Even that whole debate that we will be taking 30 billion every year and giving it to people, it's still the handout mentality. And that is why we must have a conversation. And that's why I agree with my party leader when he said we must revitalize rural economies, give people water, give people electricity. Look what Governor Mutua has been able to do in Machakos. Give people health care. Make people want to stay in the rural village instead of wanting to come back to Nairobi. Let's incentivize investment in industrial industries in the villages so that people have no reason to come here. Let's invest in good schools. Let somebody sitting in their home in the middle of Homa Bay, you know, have the same pleasure and the same privileges as somebody sitting here in Nairobi. And that's the conversation we must have. Not pretense, not hypocrisy, not sheep in wolf skin. The corruption, the place that we are in today, we're talking about projects that never started, yet people took money out of those projects. And these are the same people saying, oh, we are bottom up. How are you bottom up when you have been given an opportunity and you have used that opportunity to loot this country dry? And Trevor, I will have the discussion on empty shell if Cherargei is a Udaku MP. That is when we will talk about
it.
I love the passion. I love the passion of Mheshimiwa here, and congratulations. You couldn't have put it better because you're putting it. It's a reality. Let me speak from a position of neutrality. I'm not in Jubilee. I'm not in ODM. I'm not in. Inaitwa nini Udaku imeongezwa party, I mean Maendeleo Chapchap, a party of ideology that believes in development. Because as I said here before, the things she's talking about is critical because parties have been formed in this country not based on ideology, but based on, they're just machinery to win an election. I remember when we formed PNU. PNU was not a party of ideology. It was a party to win an election. ODM, original ODM, was formed as a party to win an election after the 2005 referendum issues. Even KANU was formed to win an election, to take over power. So you find even UDA, UDM and UDAKU, has been formed to win an election. Yeah. So these are parties formed not with an ideology to help Mwananchi, but an ideology to take care of leaders and to make them aspire and continue. So we have to ask ourselves, and she makes very good points. One, why are you supporting one political party and yet you're in another one? Why are you saying, the first question you asked Senator Chirangai is, mtashinda? Angesema, ndio, Jubilee itashinda, kwa sababu yuko Jubilee. Lakini anasema hapana, tutashinda Jubilee, na yeye yuko Jubilee. You see, it's a form of hypocrisy. And that's a problem with the Kenyan politics. We should be able to say we believe in an ideology. Otherwise, we are taking people on a ride. The voters are being taken on a ride. Mnaenjoyiwa na waheshimiwa bana. Nyinyi huko mnapiga kura mnaenjoyiwa. Because mtu anasema siko kwa hii chama na support hii chama na yuko hii chama bado. Anakula hapa, analia, anashiba na hapa anakulilia yuko na njaa na yeye yuko sawa. So wananchi tuache kuenjoy, hasa vijana ambao tunateseka katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, tunaenjoy. Now there's the point of Chirangai said that he was jostling for a photo with the president. I didn't have to jostle for a photo. You know, that's somebody else. Na mtu mwingine alikuwa na jostle for photos. Mimi nilimwalika alikuwa kwangu Machakos, White House. So the photos are automatic. You know, you don't jostle, you're the host. So you're with him, you're showing him around. We sat down, had a meal, we had a chat, just the two of us. Yes. There's no jostling for photos. And because, you know, people ask me all the time, why does Uhuru Kenyatta keep on coming to Machakos? And he's come to Machakos, if you calculate, more times than basically any other county. And it's because Uhuru Kenyatta, when you talk to him, he's very passionate about development. And another day here, we need to discuss the economics of difference between growth and development, because many people don't understand. But he's very passionate about development. He has seen the moves that we do in Machakos, and he knows that if it's done in Machakos, it's done well. When we sat down and talked, he wanted to know, where have you reached? And I told him, you know, when I took over, we had nothing. Now I have 627 boreholes, over 520 kilometers of piped water, over 490 balls, pans, and weirs. You know, women used to walk 10 kilometers. Now they're only walking 2 kilometers or drinking water from their door. So I told him about the things that we have done, and that's what excites him. And that's what makes him come to Machakos. Yeah. He came and launched the Machakos Investment, Machakos International Convention Center that will now be competing with KICC, so we can get this soft money to come to Machakos, and our people get more money, so we can do more work. I can build more tarmac roads, because, you know, I've built tarmac roads. We can provide more power to our people. And healthcare. You know, Uhuru cares so much about healthcare. You know, we are talking about universal healthcare, because in Machakos, I put together Machakos Cancer Center. And I invite you, Senator, and invite you, Mheshimiwa, please come. Come and see our cancer center, because this country has become a country of a few billionaires and millions who are poor. Yeah. So that when you get sick, and you're rich, what do? You go to South Africa, you go to India, you go to Japan, you go to other countries. But if you are poor and you are in any county in this country and you have cancer, what do? You die. Then we say, tulimpenda, lakini Mungu alimpenda zaidi. Kwani Mungu anapenda wale wamesota zaidi kuliko matajiri. So we need a country where you do those things. So told Uhuru, we've got Machakos Cancer Center. Yeah. Even if the bill is 20 million, you pay nothing. It is free of charge. Because in Machakos, we say from maternity to mortuary, you pay nothing. Brain surgery, you pay nothing. Because healthcare is your right. Yeah. And so these are the things that we should be talking about when we talk about Kiambaa. These are the things that we should be excited about rolling development down. What about skill base for our young people to get employment, not handouts? Yeah. Kenyans, yesterday I had 2 sessions. I had a session with a group of young people, and they in ICT, and we had very passionate talk. Later on, I had a group of people in the beauty industry, talk about things. And you realize Kenyans, they do not want don't want handouts. Yeah. Our young people in Kenya don't want handouts. They want a hand up. They want to be given credit. They want to be given facilities. They want to be able to be supported so they can do work. Hawataki kupewa, wanataka kujifanyia kazi, wapate yao. And that's a spirit we need to embody. So the people who are voting today, as you say, ni chama, you need to ask yourself, for how long will we be used by these politicians? Okay. For how long?
Gerard, why don't you just resign from Jubilee and seek a fresh mandate with UDA and prove your mettle, prove your salt?
Or Mandela chapter.
If we were to resign today, I can assure you some of us will be elected with 99% back to the House.
Or not, because 60% of the legislators never really make it back.
Of course, those are statistics that are neither here nor there. No one can prove it. There are many sweeping statements that my sister has made. And apparently it's unfortunate that she's the chair of finance. And under 10 years, the chair of finance, she has presided over and assisted and aided executive in raising of many taxes, especially LPG gases, basic goods, and many others that Kenyans are suffering today. And yet they want to do what we call rural economy, yet taxes on basic goods continue to go up. They might have refused, but it's apparently that she's the oversight, she's the chair of finance. Secondly, you know, and these conversations we have had before, and the deputy president will not resign. You know why? Because he was directly elected alongside the president. He was not appointed. I think that should be very clear. He was elected. The only people that can force or can say Ruto should resign is the Kenyans, 8 million plus, who voted for him alongside President Uhuru Kenyatta. So if he's not appointed, that is a fact that should be known. And I wish my sister would give. Number 2, there is nowhere that the deputy president has shown disrespect towards the president. Can she cite one occasion where the deputy president has shown disrespect to President Uhuru Kenyatta? In fact, he has been magnanimous. He has restrained himself. Even where the executive order number 1 is duties. You know, the deputy president is a principal assistant as by the Constitution 2010. There is an executive order that was issued by President Uhuru Kenyatta where coordination of government function and ministries were taken to a minister. And it is, and he has restrained himself. He didn't complain. He accepted with grace that if the president has found it fit to appoint another cabinet minister to take the roles as a principal assistant, don't be it. Number 2, it behooves, and I think since Gladys is a member of ODM, she doesn't know what has happened in Jubilee. You remember we are being locked out in Jubilee headquarters. There is a time that the deputy party leader, who is deputy president, Dr. William Ruto, and a number of us went to Jubilee headquarters. It is the Secretary General of Jubilee who issued a statement, even in media, and you did cover, that the Deputy President or any of his allies should not visit the Jubilee Party House. So how can you say when all of us were being whipped, being chased by Jubilee, and it is Gladys and the ODM brigade knows very well that when the signs are written on, there was a story in Mene Tekel that was being used in the Bible. The writing is on the wall that Jubilee, the way it is an empty shell. And then finally, I've seen, and you know, I think there is a confusion with these people understanding what when we call a bottom-up approach economy. They are not understanding. It's not about handouts. Gladys, she's the patron of the Affirmative Action Fund. When she goes to Homa Bay, she issues checks to groups of women, CBOs, to assist them to put a footing. We have startup bill that is before the Senate that is being debated now. It's among 24 legislation, by the way, that when I was a chair jailer, we did move to High Court to seek redress. We have the Youth and Enterprise Fund. Are those handouts? They are not. What the Deputy President is just saying in bottom-up approach economy is to give more resources to like affirmative fund, to give more resources to Youth Enterprise Fund, to ensure that when we have startup bill or startup economy, at the moment we are discussing what we call vocational training bill before the Senate, Senate Bill number 31, where we want to ensure we give, you know, we have overrated white-collar jobs, Trevor, but we need to train artisans, we need to train welders, we need to train electricians, and that is what, you know, they are predicting in the last decade and going into the next decade. This will be the century of construction, the century of building, and we need these people who can do the work, who can do the hands. So from where I sit, no one is talking about handouts. By the way, what you are just saying is that there is already existing like affirmative fund. There is always a youth enterprise fund. There is always fund. And I see, in fact, the other day, there is what we call, I saw the president has started a fund where he's supporting businesses. We have seen in corporate social responsibilities by some of the companies like the companies, tech companies that we have in this country, many other companies that are giving money to CBOs, youth, people living with disability, and we are just saying no one is going to give out. What we are trying to do is that we want now to put more funds to where young people can start either and affirmative funds and many others. So it is very unfortunate that my brother there and my sister are just having selective amnesia, because there are already funds that have been established to assist most of the groups to come up with ideas, to build on their basis, and therefore, from where I sit, is not about handouts. And this issue, by the way, finally, is that I think the issue, and the ODM party leader has been saying this for very long, that it is wrong to give to church. But we have not asked them, who are they giving at night? So it is very important that when you give, it depends. And I'm happy Governor Mutua said today we need to thank God. Some of us thank God by giving to the church. You remember, church does not have any development fund. It is behoves that we do fundraisers. I know Gladys Wanga, as an Adventist, there was a time in a church, she was being invited to preside over an Arambe to build a church. It doesn't mean it is wrong. It is, we need to appreciate the fact that it is not about handouts. And we said last time, all of us are politicians. People will go to a function and politics is coming up. People will dish out 50 shillings, 100 shillings. Is that not handout? So let us stop this thing of demonizing the church for being supported. Yet what you do at night with your money, no one has asked you what you did with it.
Honorable Hanga.
You know, I think if you listen to Senator Cherargei, I can't quite place what he's talking about, because they are presenting themselves as the next best thing that has happened to Kenya. Yet now, if you tell him now, crystallized bottom-up approach, he's saying it's like youth fund, it's like women enterprise fund. These are things that have been happening in this country. I mean, so what's new? What's novel? It's just the words. And this is what I'm calling out, empty rhetoric. When you say crystallize what it is, then he says, but it's the youth fund, but it's the women fund. But these are the very things that have been happening in this country since. So there's nothing new that is being presented by this lot. And this is what I was talking about from the word go. He has cited many frustrations in Jubilee. Those frustrations should have led them to resign. If you don't want something, leave. You know, he has said the deputy president is the principal assistant to the president, in his own words. Yet he undermines the president day in, day out. And that's why I was saying, I know he was elected on the same ticket. But you know, you are elected the president and the deputy president. And the deputy president, the functions are such that you're the principal assistant to the president. If you no longer believe in the person whom you're supposed to assist, then you should step aside. And listen, he speaks like he's not part of the Jubilee guy. He's talking about taxes and putting them on me. Me who stood up to Treasury and said, you will not tax bread. You will not tax unga. You will not put tax on motorcycles. Now he's putting it on me, yet he's the one who's part of that Jubilee government. And this is what must be called out. You know, UDA, Urudaku as it is, they must make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah.
And no matter how much English Senator Cherargei says, he cannot fool Kenyans. You're either in or you're out. And that's the bottom line on that entire matter. And this issue of the church, I think it's a broken record of some people trying to show that they are closer to God, for example, than others, yet their actions are not in tandem with the faith that they profess. And I think what my party leader has spoken out against is taking money, you know, looting money, which you cannot say. And you saw when these fundraisers began, these days the money is reducing a bit. The thing is, we said we want to have a lifestyle audit. We want to know that the money you're moving around with and so on and so forth. And there were weekends that if you calculated, it was 20, 30 million, 20, 30 million every week, 20, 30 million every week. And if you stand up and say, surely you must account for what you have. I mean, we know what you earn. We know what your businesses bring in. If you're giving 20 to 30 million every weekend, in places, where exactly is this money coming from? And that's the question. And that's why we were saying, and that's why the message has been to the church, yes, we accept donations, people give. In fact, people give quietly. In fact, people give, even tithes and so on, people give without shouting about it. But when you shout on the rooftop about 20, 30 million every weekend, then the question must be asked as to where you're raising this money from. Yet we have an economy that is bleeding due to corruption. So that is the point. And the point is not that that giving should not happen. And I think even as they try to twist it, like some people, when he says at night, he probably means that when you go to witch doctors and as we go to church. I mean, you can't fool Kenyans that way. The point is clear. Everyone knows their God, to whom they pray, in whom they trust, who looks out for them, and they give. Yeah. And people give diligently, by the way, to churches, and they don't shout about it. And I think because God looks at the heart. If you steal a lot of money and then you go every weekend, you're giving it here and there, that's not what makes you closer to God. Okay. It's the state of your heart and your giving. So this story of, I am the one who is closer to God than the rest, I think that that line will not fly.
Okay. I have to take a quick break, Governor, then I come back with you and you start us off on this IBC issue on page 5. I see here the Electoral Commission has struck some controversy with a public notice on a tender for supply of election materials, including referendum result declaration forms. Are they simply getting prepared, or are they preempting the BBI appeal outcome? That's what the conversation is all about. And then we'll also talk about the University of Nairobi, whereby there's been an issue there. The Vice Chancellor was here. He says that they were simply living beyond their means. And if they continued like that, the institution would come crumbling down. Now, there's a fee increment proposal. There was a protest yesterday in Nairobi. The Students' Association say they'll be protesting every subsequent Wednesday until their pleas are heard. We'll also talk about that in just a bit. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. I'll sample some of them when we come back from the break.